Okay, we're going to be looking at ignition and fitting electronic ignition system. But before we do that, someone asked about how about fitting and timing with ignition with points. So I'm going to kind of talk you through that. Before I do that, I'll just say that points are fine, but they are simply not as good as electronic ignition, like full stop. If you have a fully working electronic ignition, it will always be better than points because they just simply cannot be as good as electronic ignition. They just can't be, because they're mechanical and there's so many different parts that the spark is lost, etc., along the way, and the accuracy is definitely nothing like as good as electronic ignition. I think personally that sometimes there's a problem with getting a hole burnt in a piston on Tridents, and I think it's probably to do with the fact that there's points, and what happens is because there's three sets of points, there's one set of points for each cylinder, and if one set slips slightly, then we might not notice riding it because the other two are still working fine. And especially if it retards slightly, then that cylinder will get very hot, and it can. I'm sure that's one reason, the main reason why there are holes burned in pistons. Electronic ignition, that can't happen, because once it's timed on one, then the others are all set dead on. Points, you have to do the timing for each piston individually. Right, let's say you were building from scratch. I'm only going to do this briefly. So the first thing you need to do is to remove the timing plug, as it's called. There's this blank plug you'll find in the front here of the crankcase. You take that out, and then you get this special tool, timing plug, and you screw that in. And then this pin, probably won't come out now. Yeah, good. So this pin will engage with a hole in the crankshaft. What it is, in the crankshaft, they have actually drilled a hole in the flange of the crankshaft, and when number one cylinder, that's this one next to the timing, is at 38 degrees top dead center. There we go, you can just see it. Yeah, there. That's the timing mark. Okay, when it's there for number one cylinder, the hole will line up with here, and you push the plunger in and there, and that has now locked the engine at exactly 38 degrees top dead center on number one cylinder. So you know it's not going to move. I mean, you don't have to use that plug. You just line that up. Make sure you've got the right timing mark for the right cylinder, which is that's easily done. You can take the rocker box caps off. Then when this is at top dead center with both valves closed, that's the then take it backwards, and the first mark that lines up, the first of the three lines that lines up, that will be 38 degrees before top dead center on that cylinder. Okay, top dead center, that means both valves closed. Rotate it back until you see that line, and either get that line dead on or use the plunger, and that rod will suddenly go into the hole, and the engine is now locked at 38 degrees before top dead center. Then what you do is you then insert your advance and retard mechanism. Advance and retard mechanism, I don't know if I can demonstrate this with one hand. Okay, so it's on. So this the cam that operates the points is on springs. Okay, and that's the advance and retard centrifugal force. As the engine goes faster and faster, so the centrifugal force pushes these weights out here at the side, and which are on light springs, and then as those are flung out, so it automatically advances the ignition, okay, until it comes to maximum, won't move anymore. So what you would do is you put that's got that interference fit in the exhaust camshaft. You put that in with a bolt, and then you have a mark here which tells you exactly where the cam is, and you line that mark up with roughly with number 1 point. Now number 1 cylinder is black and white, number 3 cylinder is yellow and black, and number 2 cylinder is red and black. So it fires 1 cylinder, 3 cylinder, 2 cylinder. Okay, that's the firing order. These points are broken, by the way, in case you don't know what's going on. So I put that in. Now when these go in, you've got these 3 holes here, and they line up with the 3 empty mounting holes, 1, 2, 3, and you put it so the wire's at the bottom so that it can go out of that hole. And so basically this will go in. I'm trying to get the light, I can't get the light. This is going about there. So number 1 point is at about the what's that, about 12 o'clock position there. Okay, so you'd fit this, you can always move it later, with that pointer at 12 o'clock position, and then you put your points in. Okay, so then how do you adjust it? Okay, briefly, you've got 4 screws for each set of points. Okay, you've got a small one there, big one there, very big one there, another small one there. Okay, the 2 small ones are adjusters, the 2 bigger ones in the middle are lock screws. Now, this screw is the adjuster to adjust the timing. Okay, so you can move the points around to adjust the timing. So if you want to adjust the timing, you can loosen this screw, which is a backplate screw, and then you can turn that small screw, and that will move the points to either backwards or forwards to adjust the timing. Okay, and you use a strobe normally on that. If you want to adjust the contact breaker gap, which should be about 15 thou, then you loosen that screw off and use that adjuster to adjust the points gap. So those 2 to adjust the timing, those 2 for the point gap, and that's about it. Now, if you're trying to do the timing and you run out of room on that, the only thing to do is to take the points off, remove the advance and retard, and move it round a bit, because you know that's the only way of getting adjustment. But okay, I know there's loads and loads of screws, but don't forget you've got to do each one individually. That's the drawback. Okay, but I'm sorry that's a bit wordy, and I hope you followed it. But yeah, I don't know anyone who uses points, and so I'm not going to set it all up because I'm going to put electronic ignition in. But that's, you know, it's so many years since I've done points. I'm not joking. I've had to really think about this, because I'm looking at it thinking, what's that screw? You know, so many years since I've worked with points. But hopefully that makes some sense. But we're going to fit electronic ignition, so the mechanical advance and retard unit and the points unit, which is broken, is thrown away in our case. That's all I can say.